Yes, we are. We are living aligned and we are, just really excited to be here. Can you all see me moving? Because I see me stuck.
I see you moving.
Okay, great.
We're grooving.
Awesome.
Well, mindful movement like I do with the kids. You got to shake that energy out.
Yes. It's so exciting that we get to, our paths are coming together now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I am so excited about that.
I always call that, Reverend Marie, a divine appointment.
Indeed.
It is.
And our divine appointment starts right now.
That's beautiful.
So thank you everyone for joining us today for this Facebook Live After Lunch special. My name is Reverend Marie and I am joined today by Reverend Veronica Valles. And so she does amazing work in the world. And she is a peace educator, mindfulness. She brings mindfulness to the world through her focus ministry. And I want to jump right in to our conversation.
So before we jump, can we anchor?
Yes.
All right, let's anchor.
Yes,
So
yes, let's do that.
Anytime I come into a classroom, the kids are trained to lead us in anchoring in our breath and our body, because really that's all that's present. Our mind wanders and we drop into our heart. So the invitation is just to put one hand on your heart, one on your belly. You close your eyes if you're comfortable. Everybody who's listening, we breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, slow circular breath. I'll ring the bell. It's six rings, but it's three breaths. So follow me, and then I will invite you to open your eyes as we anchor together mindfully. So breathe in. And then slowly exhaling, letting go, and just relaxing into this moment. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. And just dropping deeper into our heart, deeper into this present moment. Breathe in. And breathe out. And as we are fully present in this moment, when you're ready, open your eyes.
Yes. Yes, how wonderful. And I'm glad that we began in that way, because I want you to bring another one of your practices in a little later.
Absolutely.
And for CSL, this is our theme for the month, is mindfulness for Mavericks. And when looking and thinking of someone who I can connect with to bring this message forward, we thought of you. So let's begin by tell us all a little bit about your journey into discovering or rediscovering Science of Mind. Yeah.
Well, let's see if I can do this succinctly.
Okay.
Well, I actually discovered Science of Mind when I was working in Los Angeles in the 90s through Michael Beckwith, Reverend Michael Beckwith. And I was in my mid to late 20s, and then I got deathly ill at 30. And I'm not exaggerating, with chronic fatigue immune dysfunction syndrome, which eventually brought me to mindfulness, brought me to Dallas. Once in Dallas, it was a 10-year journey that really took me deep and brought me to the present moment, but always, with the reading and the work of Science of Mind, but not part of a community. But it was when I found Center for Spiritual Living Dallas in 2003 that I knew I was home, and I was home to these teachings that resonated so deeply with me. And through that journey, just evolved in consciousness, did community service work, started doing peace work with Season for Peace and Nonviolence. And then once I licensed in 2014, really got the download, Teach Children Mindfulness, because I thought I'd be a pulpit minister. And it was a perfect pairing of spiritual principles, meaning trusting the process, and then also taking these mindfulness skill sets, which I was used to teaching adults, and transferring them to children. But I didn't realize I was part of a movement that was already in motion in other places. And so I just tuned into spirit the whole way. So it's been good 30 years about everything. So just grateful for the journey and the opportunity to serve in that way. And my ministry is to bring peace tools in schools, to create a world that works for everyone.
Yes, and it's so needed. Not only now, in the current climate that we're in general, mindfulness is needed in general. Now, I know that we are on our Science of Mind Facebook page. And so a lot of our community is already familiar with mindfulness. But for those who are not, can you share what is mindfulness and what is it to you?
Simply, mindfulness is paying attention in the moment with openness and curiosity. And here's the part that can be a little challenging, with non-judgmental awareness. And so
Yes.
essentially mindfulness is bringing me to the present moment, to my thoughts, my feelings, the emotions that I'm experiencing, understanding the reactions of my brain, but then how I can use the breath to calm and redirect and connect, and then drop into heartfulness to connect with myself and with other people. So it's present moment awareness. And I remind everybody, it's not about being perfect. It's about being present.
Yes. Yes. One of for mindfulness for myself, I talk about living a line, and that's my
Mhm.
ministry. That we come upon many different intersections,
Yes.
right, in our life. And so one is between principle, paradox, faith, and fear. And
Yes.
it's what you do in the middle of that intersection that
Yes.
makes the difference. What is next? And mindfulness
Yes.
is a spiritual tool
It
that
is.
one could use to be still and
Mm-hmm.
determine what is next for them. So thank you for sharing that. Now, on your website,
Mm-hmm.
you have socially engaged and compassionately connected.
Yes.
And I love those terms. And what I would like to know more about is how do you share those within the school system?
Well, for me, the socially engaged is bringing in the secular mindfulness skill sets, because no one knows I'm a minister. I bring it in
Hmm.
service to the greater reality of these children, peace tools in schools.
Yeah.
I want to be engaged in my community. I want to be a part of
Mhm.
it. I want to support the growth for these children in a healthy way. And the
Mhm.
compassionate part is that I treat each one of them like they're my nieces and nephews. So for me to be
Yes.
compassionate, I also need to listen. I need to
Hmm.
listen. I need to have a conversation. How can I serve you? So it's not about imposing what I think is, the best thing for them. It's a conversation. It's connection. We're engaged together. And so
Hmm.
socially engaged, compassionately connected is my way of participating in my community, which is why I primarily have taught in East Dallas. So they
Hmm.
see me at farmers market, the kids and their family. They see me when I'm like at Sam's Club, or I
Hmm.
was at Target one time and this kid was stunned that he saw me. And so it's like, oh, that's Miss Veronica. And they understand I live
Hmm.
here too. I care about our community.
Yes.
I care about them. So for me, it's to be engaged is to also be listening. How can I
Hmm.
serve? What's necessary in this moment? And then I'm
Right.
also part of the site-based decision-making team at Hexter, so that we come in as community partners for all of our kids, for all of our neighbors. So for me,
Hmm.
it's just connecting from my heart and bringing forth the gifts that I have in service to whatever is necessary at every moment, at every
Hmm.
level in the school system.
You were you mentioned listening, and I want to get back to how did you even get started in the school system? But you mentioned listening, and I love your website. And so I was looking at some of the videos and experiencing some
Mhm.
of your videos, and you talked about mindful listening, and
Yeah.
you just mentioned it. Can you talk more about mindful listening? And I know it has to do with non-judgment. Can you
It's
share more?
absolutely. And so the all the videos that are on my website came during the pandemic, shelter in place. So
Mm,
I'll be creating
mm-hmm.
some new ones. But the mindful listening practices, how can I simply be present, heart open?
Yes.
So I share with the kids, I go, we're listening with our ears, but we're receiving with our heart. And
Mhm.
we're not just hearing words, we're trying to connect in our hearts with what the person is conveying to us. And then asking questions from a place of, what do you feel? What are you feeling? What is it that you need? The nonviolent communication part. So the listening is really tuning in, and then being observant of like what emotions I may be having, what's arising in me. But it's like, no, I'm here just to listen. Oftentimes we're one
Yes.
step ahead. Like in
Mm-hmm.
classes, the kids are like figuring out what they want to say. And the
Mm-hmm.
invitation is listen with your ears, receive with your heart. Voices are
Mm-hmm.
quiet out of respect for each other.
Yes. Thank you. Now, I know in mindful listening, there's, you take a breath,
Yes.
before you speak
Oh, yes.
and be still. So how do you share that with children in school and
We
teach
have
them?
various breathing practices that we actually teach. So we teach them how to count their breaths. We
Mm-hmm.
teach the pause, that it's in the pause that we can then
Yes.
calm and then connect. And so really it's that practice of sitting and just watching, feeling the breath coming in and pausing. And so as we go throughout the curriculum, I teach them about energy. So when they're feeling this energy and that is excitement and I want to share something, oh, let me breathe. Yes. Let me breathe in yellow, blow out yellow bubble. So it's really recognizing that self-awareness and self-management, that I've got to breathe and pause. Because you can see the ones that they're ready to I'm like, I go, that energy is fine. So really it's just training the brain, but it's with we don't want to judge them for being curious and excited. I don't want to judge myself, but I'm just learning how to monitor what's happening and then calming. And we do a lot of grounding exercises too. So like breath box. Actually, the best one for kids is 5-finger breathing. So with children, when you connect with your body and you connect with your breath, that's what makes us present. Our mind wanders from the past to the future to imagination to worry. And then if it triggers this part of our brain that doesn't know, it's like, is that happening now? And so we connect with the breath, but with kids, we'll do like the 5-finger breathing. They'll trace their hands. For adults, we do the breath box where we breathe into the count of 4, hold the breath for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4. So we're literally creating like a box, a square. And so it's that cultivation of understanding this is just energy. And we've watched, and especially when the kids have the bell, when they're listening to the bell, where they can use that to practice. And like I said, it's not about being perfect. And they're children. I'm very aware they're children, and we're just giving them the skill sets as they cultivate them throughout the years.
And what it sounds like is you are sharing it in a way that it becomes a game to them, and then it becomes natural. Yes. In a way of being that they can take it all throughout their life.
Exactly. And I will show videos. So there's a video by Happify called How Mindfulness Empowers Us. And it's the story of a Native American grandmother with her little grandchild. And she's like, there's 2 wolves that live in our heart. The blue wolf, which is the positive emotions, the red wolf, which are just difficult. And sharing that video before I teach about emotions, these kids literally resonate so they can feel, oh, I'm having a red wolf moment. I need to go breathe. So they recognize, so there's little symbols with the videos, or there's the practices that they remember. Oh, I've got to do 5-finger breathing, or, the different energy dial. Oh, I got to dial right here. I got to dial down my energy. And so it's fun, but it's practical. So they had that awareness that we had a fun practice, but oh, I actually can dial down my energy with my breath.
That connection.
That connection, exactly.
The connection, right. And the heart connection. Right. Now, how did you get started in the schools?
Well, like I said, I thought I was going to be a pulpit minister, and I've been doing Season for Peace and Nonviolence in 2007, and I've always been passionate about children because of my nieces and nephews. But I found one teacher, Elizabeth Dry at Alex Sanger, and she had a 1st grade class, and I asked her, can I come teach your kids mindfulness? And then I brought in my friend Tasha Niima, so he would come every other week, and then I was there weekly, and just would mentor them and bring in simple practices. That began to expand when I heard follow them. But it was really 2015 when, by a divine appointment, I met my primary principal at the time at Victor H. Hexter Elementary. And it was one of those God connections where here's a principal who's artistic, she's creative, she understands social emotional learning, and literally connected that in that 5-year journey, I was able to come in just with a couple of classes in art and music, and then slowly expand. And when we went global the 3rd year, that's when the transformation happened. When every class was having me on a weekly basis, I was coaching teachers, I was coaching Dr. Jackson, the principal, and we just saw what a difference that made to have a peace educator, someone like me there. So it was just, it was constant, talk about listening. It was constant listen, because that 1st year was very challenging. I'm like, I don't want to start a nonprofit. I don't know what I'm doing. It was just like, the prayer work, and thank you, Jennifer Severance, my prayer partner, the prayer work, and my friends, Reverend Jenny and Reverend Jane, and just walking through it mindfully, and then trusting that Spirit was guiding us the whole way. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey, but now 6 years out, I can look back and it was perfect in every single way. Every single way, I was guided to the right schools, to the right teachers, to the principal who would work with me. And that's the whole point of that trust and listening. We think we have an idea. No, there's always something greater. There's always something greater.
Always something greater. Now, we are in this interesting time, this time of uncertainty.
Absolutely.
in this time of pandemic. And so I know that you have still been working in the schools and
Yeah.
doing it while being under quarantine and,
Mhm.
you know, stay at home and all of the different variations.
Yes,
So
yes.
how has that been? And with reaching out to the kids and connecting with them and doing and just doing the meaningful work you do in the world?
Well, it was powerful. One, it was a validation of working with the community long term because I had the trust of the teachers. So once the teachers were able to figure out what they were doing online, we immediately jumped into Zoom for mindfulness for these kids. And I got a
Mm,
lot of feedback from parents thanking me, teachers thanking me, because the kids were able to presence their emotions and their feelings. And we had one fifth grade class where they're more articulate in fifth grade, and we started doing nonviolent communication around fourth grade. What are you feeling? What do you need? And to listen to these students say, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling sad.
mm-hmm,
Then they shared different practices that they were able to utilize in order to
mm-hmm,
presence it, but not be over, like to not let it consume them. So for me, it was a great gift to be able to be there on a daily basis. I'd say 18 out of the 25 classes, because once you get to the kindergarten and pre-K, they're just a
mm-hmm.
little too wiggly. Even though I did have two kindergarten classes on Zoom, which was great, you know. But for me,
Mm-hmm.
I was just so deeply grateful that I was able still to be present and to bring in, you know,
Right.
different practices, emotions, gratitude, mindful seeing, mindful listening. So I saw the
Yes.
relevance of and the essential nature of having these skill sets because literally it supported them and in moments would support their parents for the difficulties and the stress that they were experiencing.
Yes. Now, I know we have a few minutes left. If you were to share one thing with a parent and what they can use they're not familiar with mindfulness at all,
Mhm.
that they can help their children with now, what would that be?
It's I always bring it back to the breath. Because
Yeah.
first of all, when someone is activated, so the amygdala, the part of our brain that's fight, flight, or fright,
Mm-hmm.
when that part of the brain's activated, you can't have a conversation. You have to calm and connect and
Mm-hmm.
redirect. And so I would just really invite them, depending on the age of the child, but if they're really little, it's really breathing in and breathing out, but you have to make it fun. So it's like, let's breathe in
Yes.
blue, blow out blue bubbles, you know? And so until
Ah,
you get them
yes.
calm with the breath, then there's
Mm-hmm.
the invitation is for them to notice what they're feeling. Oh, I'm feeling
Yes.
overwhelmed. I'm feeling stressed. I have to breathe and connect. And then you
Mm-hmm.
bring the child into it, you know. And then I have like fun little practices like where we do Spider-Man and Wonder Woman, but I would say what we did at the beginning, the anchor with the breath
Mm-hmm.
or even the walking, mindful walking, let's just go for a walk without the
Mm-hmm.
talking. It's really to let that
Yes.
energy be present and to move in the awareness that it's just a signal, and once they're calm, then they can have whatever conversation they need to have. So they can go to my website. I'm going to do new videos, like fun ways, but really the main thing with little kids, it's like breathe in a certain color, blow out bubbles. And just that
Yes.
image, because what they're doing is they're in their mind, they're seeing yellow, they're blowing out yellow bubbles. And they'll notice that with that deep breath, the nervous system starts to calm, like it starts to
Mm-hmm.
dial down. But it's really connecting eye to eye with love and kindness. So if the parent stress, they've got to breathe first. It's that whole take the
Yes.
oxygen mask first, then give it to the child.
Indeed. As we get ready to leave, what's next for you?
Oh, that was really fast. Well, for me, it's taking the template of what I've done and bringing it to other schools and possibly other districts. And I have the
Right.
great fortune of meeting Leon Theodore of the Texas Criminal Justice Coalition, who their organization is really working, especially everything that's happening with the George
Mm-hmm.
Floyd murder and the protests. How do we stop the school to prison pipeline? So I'm coming in as an advisor on how do we transform the culture. And for me, it's always about consciousness and
Yes.
adults taking these practices on, and then finding other schools where we'll do the 10 weeks. So I'm not going to be in a community the way that I was at Hexter. That was my family, but giving them the
Mm-hmm.
template of how to do this, and then to try to create a peace educator certification so that there's more Miss Veronicas in people's own unique way in the world. So I am in that place of creativity and divine listening and being pulled to next steps. So everything for the fall is not set in place, but there's this movement towards how do we reach more schools? How do we get these practices in the classrooms? How do we engage adults and teachers and support them through their own stresses
Yes.
and difficult emotions? So I'm in listening mode and template mode and workshop mode and professional developments, but I'll always at some capacity be with children and walk those hallways, bringing in, my joy and my love for them.
Wonderful. Reverend Veronica, thank you for the great work you are doing in the world, in your ministry, and thank you. Peace and blessings to you.
Peace and blessings to you too. Thank you, Reverend.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us this week, and we'll see you next time.